I'm John Batchelor, Gordon Chang of Forbes.com, traveling. He's in Toronto, and we push a button and go to Delhi and welcome Nitin Gokhale of New Delhi Television, national security correspondent, to help us understand the significance of what looks to be a spectacular engineering achievement. China is building a railway extension in Tibet. This is also a line to go from Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, to Shigatse, which is Shigatse in China, a region close to Nepal, Bhutan, and Sikkim. So we're looking at a part of the world that is only a map to me. Nitin can help. Nitin, as I understand the way Gordon frames this story, China's building a rail line. It seems simple enough, and it's a spectacular piece of geography they're solving along cliff sides here, bulldozing through falling shale. However, at the same time, this is a border, Sikkim and Arunachal. Does that make this a concern to Delhi that China is putting in a railroad so close to your border? Good morning to you.
Morning, John, and morning, Gordon. Indeed, it has been a concern for some time, but now it's a reality. The railway line, what is called the QTR, the Qinghai Tibet Railway, or the railway that has come to Lhasa about 8 years ago, has now been extended to the Indian border, which is Sikkim, and Bhutan, of course, is a separate country, and Arunachal Pradesh, which is what China calls South Tibet. Now that enables China to move forces very quickly if it wants to, and it gives it an advantage and an edge in any military confrontation or a military standoff that it has with India along that disputed border, what we call the McMahon line in Arunachal Pradesh and the line of actual control in Ladakh.
Gordon?
What is India doing to build up its infrastructure on its side of the border? Because the Chinese have been very busy with not only roads and railroads and airports, but also bringing in all the materials for war. So what is India doing to counter this?
Gordon, you will be glad to know and happy to report that India is now belatedly, even if it's a little late in the day, has started building infrastructure at a very furious pace, both in Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh. In fact, one of the junior ministers in India's internal security ministry, the MP, the member of parliament from Arunachal Pradesh, mentioned a road going from west to east, from Tawang to Walong, along the McMahon line, and that rattled the Chinese no end. In fact, they said India should not do anything that will complicate the already complicated border issue. And India is also building a lot of what is called the advanced landing grounds for its military aircraft to land along the Arunachal border with China. And of course, Ladakh is also witnessing huge infrastructure development, and I'm happy to report from the Indian point of view that the recent standoff in Chumur, the Chinese were outnumbered 4:1, thanks to the improved infrastructure in southeastern Ladakh, which actually rattled the Chinese no end, is what my friends in the military tell me. John?
Gordon, we're being a little roundabout. This looks like an arms race between two states that are anticipating conflict. Is that an interpretation of what we're witnessing here?
Absolutely, John. And it's an arms race not with tanks or planes or ships, but it's one with the basic infrastructure that you see in developing countries. We're talking about roads and railroads and airports, and these are absolutely essential because if there's going to be a conflict in this region, the side that's going to win is the side with the better roads.
We'll go to a weapon system that did show up, a Chinese submarine and a warship docked at Colombo, which is, I believe, the capital of Sri Lanka. Nitin, is this a ploy by China to say that they're challenging India for command of the ocean?
Well, indeed, that is going to be the playground for what I call the next great game, the Indian Ocean region. And because India is now standing up to the Chinese more assertively along the Himalaya frontier, the Chinese are trying to encircle India by using Sri Lanka, Maldives, Myanmar, and even Bangladesh in certain cases by sending their ships and submarines to Indian Ocean region, to the Bay of Bengal, and near the Andaman Seas. but India has taken note, and India has protested to these smaller countries around it. But that is going to be the next battleground, really, the Indian Ocean region.
Gordon?
Nitin, so really what we have is China very deliberately encircling India, and we talked about the Himalayas, but now it's also the Indian Ocean. It would seem to me that in New Delhi there must be a greater appreciation of the threat that China poses, because it would seem that certainly with a new government in the Indian capital, they must be thinking these security issues anew, and they must be focusing on the threat posed by Beijing.
Gordon, Nitin promised us weeks ago that they were going to spend money. Is that true, Nitin? They're spending money on your fleet.
Oh, yes, indeed. As between the time that we spoke last and now, the Indian government, the Defense Ministry, has sanctioned 6 new submarines to be built within Indian shipyards, and also a midget submarine for special forces operations. All that has come. So nearly what we call in Indian rupees, it's 80,000 crore. Which would mean about nearly $4 billion have been sanctioned for new acquisitions for the Navy itself in the last week or so.
So, Gordon, what we're witnessing is 1 billion people India, 1 billion people China, and there's an escalation underway.
Yes, and the one thing that's important is that everyone says, well, China's the most populous nation. Well, that's true, but perhaps only for 5 more years. And by the middle of this century, there will be at least 500 million more Indians than there will be Chinese. You talk about an arms race, that's an arms race.
For you people lucky enough to see the end of the 21st century, I hope what we're talking about can be stopped, but the evidence 100 years ago is once the arms race begins, the end is cataclysm. Nitin Gokhale at New Delhi Television, Gordon Chang of Forbes.com. I'm John Batchelor.